sees 6 presidents in play. TR, who would have been president had he lived. Woodrow Wilson, who wants a 3rd term and sends a Secretary of State to San Francisco to stampede the convention. He's clearly delusional. And Warren Harding, who's elected. Calvin Coolidge, favorite son guy, becomes president when Harding dies. Herbert Clark Hoover, wins 2 primaries that year, Democratic primaries.
Yes.
He'd been a member of the Wilson administration, food administrator, but in a Democrat year, he decides that's not the year, even when an undersecretary of the Navy, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, decides that a Herbert Clark Hoover, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, would be a smashing ticket. But Hoover doesn't. He turns it down, and Roosevelt runs for VP that year on the Cox-Roosevelt ticket, and that's crushed by the Harding-Coolidge ticket. So you got 6 presidents in play in 1 year, and they preside over America from 1913 to 1945, a huge part of 20th century political history.
Massive.
And Calvin Coolidge, Silent Cal's almanac, this is a guy. Every politician is going to tell you 4 or 5 things. I'm going to cut taxes.
Right.
I'm going to cut the waste in government. I'm going to cut the deficit. I'm going to balance the budget. You're going to have low unemployment and no inflation. And they never do it. And we fall for it every time. And Calvin Coolidge does it. And the historians say, he was in for 6 years and he never did a damn thing because they got the wrong priorities and he had the right priorities.
Right. So again, the titles of the 2 books that you've got.
1920, the year of the 6 presidents, which is about the election and America changing. You've got the League of Nations, America's role in the world, the Ku Klux Klan, Prohibition, women get the vote, America turns from rural to urban. There's a whole lot of backstory there besides the election.
Book, is that focusing on all politics, or is there a focus on the educational world and the intellectuals and how they kind of changed their focus between World War I and World War II?
Well, we start with portraits of the 6 guys, because otherwise you're coming in a vacuum. You'll want to know the characters. You want to know what they're about when they start to interact. Now, and then we tell the story of how the nominations go, how the elections go, and what the country's like, what the background is. And we face the same sort of issues, like I say, like you say, anti-war, this, where are we going to, then it's the League of Nations.
Right.
Now it's, it's Iraq, it's Afghanistan, Egypt, whatever. Yeah. What are we going to do? What are we going to do with rights issues for women or blacks later on, or gays or whoever? And we kind of face the same issues. And also we find out that a lot of our history is misstated or ignored. So the story of women's suffrage is that the Republicans give us this, not the Democrats. They resist it.
Absolutely. Now, I heard of my brother-in-law has a friend from Russia he said a very interesting phrase I'd like to get your comment on. He says that ever since America has not won a war since we changed the Department of Defense, the Department of War to the Department of Defense.
Right.
So that's a progressive mindset. That happened in the period of this book, didn't it?
No. That happens after World War II.
Okay.
That's why we won World War II.
Because
I don't know how it was, but that was a big battle. And we had the Department of War and we had the Department of Navy. They had been in the cabinet forever. And they decided to coordinate things then under General Marshall. There was a big battle as to what would happen to the Marine Corps, what would happen to them. But the thing went through. I don't think that's the key thing. I think what happens above it, although you get McNamara. I've heard stories of people who he literally calling people in the middle of the night in the Pacific, micromanaging the bomb loads. Going over North Vietnam. Complete insanity.
Absolutely.
And Lyndon Johnson not saying, oh, we're not going to bomb on Sundays. We're not going to bomb this. Now, it's not so much the structure of the department itself, whether you have a coordinated thing. Right. It's the people above that who do not have the political will to win.
They ignore the information from the field and think they know better and
well, they're subordinating. They're subordinating the military aspects to the politics, and you can't win the politics of a war unless you've won it militarily.
Absolutely. So that's 1920, the year of 6 presidents. What's the other book you wanted to talk about?
Silent Cal's Almanac, the homespun wit and wisdom of Vermont's Calvin Coolidge, which tells you. I mean, we move in 1920 from a progressive government to a low spending, low taxes. In the 20s, we get the marginal tax rates lowered for the first time. Secretary of the Treasury, Andrew Mellon, under Harding, Coolidge, and Hoover, and they lower those rates from in the 70s when Harding comes in, and they go on even higher, 77%, 73%. They bring it down to 25% under Coolidge. And of course, as under Kennedy and Johnson and under Bush, when you do that, you invigorate the economy, you unleash the economy,
Right.
and you increase revenues, and you can actually lower the tax burden on the people least able to afford it. If you have more rich people, you don't have to bleed them. You could just, there's more to share.
They will propagate the concept of financial success, make businesses grow.
And it's grow the economy, not choke the economy.
Exactly. We are listening to David Pietrusza at www.davidpietrusza, Pietrusza, davidpietrusza.com. I'll put that on the video that we're going to have up in a little while. So, David, you were on Glenn Beck once, twice?
I've been on twice. I've been on twice. The first day was Inauguration Day. It was his second show. I was scheduled for the first, and they had Karl Rove and Sarah Palin and Britt Hume and Joel Osteen and like me, and it was like, is this really happening?
How did that happen?
Is
I mean,
this the?
everyone
I had
tries to get their books
approached
from him.
him. I had approached him around November of that year before, and it was at a book signing, and I gave him a copy of 1920, and actually Simon Cowell's Almanac, and I said, here, and you got 4 seconds to speak to him in a situation like that, and I says, here's a present for you. Jonah loved it. He goes, Jonah?
Okay.
I go, Goldberg. You know Jonah Goldberg?
Yes.
Yes. How do you know Jonah Goldberg? He read the book. He loved it. Oh, okay.
Oh,
so he
nice.
starts. There was a big sign. Don't shake his hand or whatever. I don't know why. And it's like, oh, really? And he says, autograph it. It's autographed. A card. It's in the book. He starts shaking my hand. I don't hear anything until the Friday before his first Monday show. And I get an email saying, do you want to be on his first show? It's like,
yes.
Is this the do you want to be on Glenn's first show email from Nigeria scam? This is not real.
Right.
But and over the weekend they said, gee, we're overbooked. So then I was on the second show with Jonah, of all people, for a full hour on set. Got to talk about and I may have been the first guy on national TV in the Obama administration talking about what I wanted to hear was the 10th Amendment.
Yes, absolutely. And
I was 10th Amendment before it was cool.
That's right. I'm a big 10th Amendment man. I live in Texas, and I've got a good, strong governor in Rick Perry, and he's very much for state rights. And I know that he had a hand in talking Mike Pence out of the race, saying, look, you're not going to win. Let's focus on this governor coalition. And Governor Perry, because I interviewed Governor Perry a couple months ago, and one of the first questions, are you going to be on a ticket for the White House this year? And he said, no, real quick, no. I want to build a coalition of strong governors and get the 10th Amendment as strong as it needs to be.
Yeah.
So I'd be happy to arrange an interview with you if you'd like. He's a wonderful guy to talk to and help spread the word about 10th Amendment rights, because it is cool. It's always been cool. It's just a matter of us getting folks to realize how cool it is.
Well, it's the basic linchpin, because everything, all power, all money, all control flows to Washington.
Right. Absolutely. Give the states the financial control.
It's not just the separation of powers, executive, judicial, legislative.
Right.
It's the other big thing is between the states and the people,
right,
and the federal government.
David Pietrusza, thank you very much. You've been a very patient man working with us at this schedule here. I appreciate the chance to talk to you. So 1920, the year, 6 presidents, and
Simon Cowell's Almanac.
Excellent. Look that up on Amazon.com. And if you're nice, email me, and I'll get you David's contact information for you. We're going to go back to music in just a few seconds. Thank you so much for sticking around. This is FTR Radio, CPAC 2011 Live.
Thank you.
You are welcome.
Worth waiting for.
Boom. Thank you, David. That was awesome. I'd love to talk to you some more, too.
Okay, if you ever, whatever.
I've got your contact information now, because my show format is changing this year, and I'm going to start doing more interviews. So definitely put you on a list.
Okay, great.
We can actually be in a quiet environment on the phone or whatever, not rushed. We can plan in ahead what you want to cover. It'll be great.
That's okay.
Awesome. And
Thank
I'm
you.
going to go get your book now, too. Take care, David.